Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Knee Slap and K-Pop podcast. I'm Sammy. With me today, I have Kayla.
Hello.
And Kayla is here to do one of maybe my best and worst ideas, which is that we're doing a BL bracket fight. We have decided to take one of my niche interests, which is BL dramas.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're just gonna do a bracket fight. Kayla's here for moral support. You've seen maybe 2 of these shows.
Two. I don't even know what's on here, really, so I don't even know how many of these I've actually seen. So.
I've essentially had Kayla...
And not many of them.
Yes. I gave Kayla 32 posters in a, Google file. And was
none
Kayla,
of them were named the name of the show that they were.
No, they were named whatever the download name was. And I was like, Kayla, make a bracket fight here so that I am not influenced to, tier them. These are, completely random, completely at Kayla's wishes, considering the fact that she doesn't know what any of these shows are. And, well, you know what one of them is.
Yeah.
You know exactly one of these 32. And so, the ground rules I set were that all of these are only the first season, though I will be judging the show as a whole. That is the thing of just, if you have a second season, I will judge it. But it will be, I will make my own decisions. These are all my personal rankings. If you don't like it, make your own.
Make your own BL bracket.
Make your own BL bracket. Go find this BL bracket and do it yourself. And, so like we said, these are not, ranked, tiered. I don't know how you do brackets. I'm not a sports person. But they're not, put in order. They're just random. So I don't even know what these...
They're not, seated in any
That's
way,
the word. Jesus. Also, I only included Korean BLs, Thai BLs, Taiwanese BLs, and Japanese BLs, and 1 Filipino BL. So there is, from all over. I personally mainly watch Korean and Thai BLs, so that's what is more overrepresented. But,
Very
whatever. And these are all my personal rankings. Also, these aren't necessarily my favorite shows. I also just put on here shows that I know are extremely popular that I may not... Again, all my opinions. You're going to hear my honest opinion about all of these shows.
Mm-hmm.
So, let us begin. Also, I will just... brief disclaimer that these are spoilers for every single show here, because I will also have to briefly explain what the show is about to Kayla.
Yes, because I have not seen really any of them.
Exactly. So let's
get started,
do it.
Shall we?
Of course. Okay. So the one on the left, that's Tharn Type. You've heard of this show.
I've heard you talk about Tharn Type a lot.
Yeah.
And
the one, yes. So, again, I don't know how anybody doesn't know Tharn Type. Tharn Type is a Thai BL series. It is questionably problematic. But I can say that for a lot of the shows on this list. What you will learn about BL dramas is that they have a lot of questionably problematic things in them. And so, the one on the right is We Best Love, which is a Taiwanese BL. Both of them, surprisingly, a similar premise. Both of them in Enemies to Lovers college romance.
Oh, nice.
So, Kayla inadvertently put, theming together.
Nice.
Here's the thing. I enjoyed both of these shows immensely. They have a super hot-headed, super, not angsty, also kind of grumpy guy falling for a sweetheart puppy of a man who is in college with them. And I loved both of these shows. We Best Love actually has a second season that picks up I believe it's 5 years later, and they have... So at the end of this show, they break up, and then 5 years later they meet again in the office.
Oh, okay.
Obviously. So... the thing here is that I know which show is technically better. I'm aware. We Best Love is probably a better show. But dear God, I had a lot of fun with Tharn Type. The only difference is Tharn Type 2 fucking sucks.
That's what I thought.
Hate
I was
that
like,
show.
I was pretty sure. I was like, I'm pretty sure you watched season 2 and it was like garbage. I remember you saying that.
The other thing with this is that Kayla also will now just get to put a face to shows that I have complained to her about.
Yes.
In many ways. Since I made the rule that I am judging these shows as a whole, not just as, like, the first season, because, like, the first season, I would probably give it to Tharn Type, because I think the first season of We Best Love is a little bit worse than the second one. But since I decided to judge the series as a whole, and We Best Love gets better, and Tharn Type gets worse, I think I gotta give it to We Best Love.
Yeah.
For the bracket.
Fair.
You also somehow picked one that had sequels.
Nice.
Okay, so this is... So the one on the left is another Taiwanese show. It's History 3 Trapped. So the History series, Kayla, is an anthology series of Taiwanese BLs of each of questionable quality. The quality varies. Okay, so I've seen most of the History series. History... Brief review. History 1, all 3 of them are very bad. And some of the most questionable consent issues I've ever seen.
Oh, fun.
Love questionable consent issues. Aren't they just a theme you're gonna hear from here?
What a lovely theme.
What a lovely time. And then History 2 is better, even though there are still, like, questionable power dynamics. I don't know why one of them involves a teacher dating a student. They are college. It is a college professor and his college student. So it's a little better, but still weird. And then History 3 is one of them is this, which is History 3 Trapped, which is about a police officer who is hunting down this, like, gang mafia leader, but then they fall in love. And that's the story. It's very fun. And then Game Boys is actually one of the best shows I've ever seen that was made in the pandemic. Because it is about these 2, like, live streamers who meet during COVID. It takes place during the COVID lockdown. So they can only talk through, like, Zoom and video chat and calling and texting and all of that. And it really is just a very good story about the pandemic. It's very sweet. This show does have a sequel. I have not seen it yet, so I can't judge it based on its sequel. But both of these shows tackle 2 very different things. I'm gonna give it to Game Boys. Game Boys is Filipino, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that.
I remember you talking about this one when it came out.
Yeah, I thought
because
it was
I
very
remember it being
cute.
filmed during the pandemic. Yeah,
it's all just based in, like, I think there are... The thing I did like about it was there are some scenes that are just shot outside. Like, they do meet in person. Like, you do see them outside. The same way that real COVID was sometimes we did have to go outside.
Right.
But for the most part, it was all indoors, all through Skype, all through all of that. And I thought that was a very nice touch.
That's fun.
I know people that fucking loved History 3 Trapped. And it's like their favorite for me. I thought it was good. I liked it, but there's other mafia romances on this that I like more. So I'm gonna give it to Game Boys. Okay, so this is fun. These are 2 Korean BLs. The left is Mr. Heart, which is another... You'll find the theme of college romance also carries.
Yes. I know that's a very big BL thing, is college.
Honestly, I will always take a college story over a high school story any day of the fucking week. Because I think high school is a little too... I mean, the other one's a high school romance. The other one's Color Rush. Yeah. So with Mr. Heart, it is about this guy who... I don't know if this is really a thing in running, but... Like, so our main guy is a member of the track team, but he's it's interesting. So he's a member of the track team, and he gets this other guy to be like a pace keeper with him. I don't know if that's a thing in marathon running. I don't fucking know. But they I actually I don't know anything about the sport of running marathons, I've realized. But that's what that is. And then it's like a cute little high school romance. They actually have some history back in high school, whatever. But it's very sweet. Then you have Color Rush, which is somehow a weird, like, sci-fi show. Stars Hwall. This is the one Hwall's in.
Yeah, and then got replaced with Hyuk Vix in the second season.
He's not so much replaced.
Just a different person.
As he is just a different person. So, Mr. Heart is absolutely adorable. I think is extremely underrated. No one remembers the show because other Korean BLs that are fucking supernatural have taken over, and none of them are as good. And then Color Rush.
The ones that have like idols in them, I think, get more attention too.
Yeah, but these kids
that's
were
like
on
the hot
Produce
new
season
thing
2.
Yeah, but I guess it was like.
I mean, they didn't win Produce.
Right.
No, they were on Produce X.
Okay, that's even less.
That's even less.
Probably.
That's even less relevant. But whatever. This one's better. Color Rush is like a weird, like, I don't want to say, like, sci-fi show in which there are some people that can't see color until they meet what is ostensibly their soulmate, even though they don't call it a soulmate. And then Hwall is, like, finds this boy who can't see color until he looks at Hwall's pretty face, of course.
Of course.
And then they get together, and season 1 is really, really good. And then Hwall decided to go have a solo career.
Yep.
And left this show.
Yep.
And then they bring in Hyuk formerly of Vix, currently of Vix, I don't know. And now they're both monos or people that can't see color, but then they add in all this like shit about like there's a pill that can make you see color. There's like drug metaphors. Hwall is missing. I don't know. I didn't like it. It was a bad time. I didn't have a good time with season 2.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it to Mr. Heart because I would have probably given it to Color Rush if it didn't have season 2 in it.
Uh-huh.
Oh, this one hurts. I already know the answer to this one, but it hurts me. So the one on the left is Not Me. You heard me talk about Not Me because I watched it all of the beginning of this year. This was the one. So in this one, it stars a very, very popular 2 actors. And you're going to see them actually come up again in this.
Uh-huh.
So the main 2, which are the 2 bigger faces on the poster, are played by Off and Gun. You're going to see them again happen. They're actually a really, really popular pair of actors that just keep getting put together in shows. Great chemistry. But in this one, Gun has to take over for his twin brother who got beaten into a coma. And now he takes over his twin brother's identity to find out what's going on in this gang.
Sure.
And, like, who hurt his brother. And then, you know, love happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's, like... It's actually extremely good. It actually does tackle a lot of things of how capitalism sucks. How, it's one of the most actually pro-LGBTQ shows I've seen. Because surprisingly, BL shows do not tackle the plight of the LGBTQ community ever. The trope you're gonna see a lot in these shows is I'm not gay, I just like you, which is not a great trope. We're turning away from that, but that's like a trope that used to happen
not really
all the time.
how it works, but okay.
Not really how it works. There's also a lot of bisexual erasure. There's a lot of issues with the actual depiction of an LGBTQ and healthy LGBTQ couples in many of these shows. But also, that's not why I watch them. Like, I gotta take what I... Like, I don't go into Asian dramas generally for healthy depictions of relationships.
Right.
I love mess. I'm gonna say that. And then the other one on the right is Dark Blue Kiss. Now, Dark Blue Kiss is kind of a depiction of a toxic relationship. But I liked it. So the thing with this show is that the 2 characters, Pete and Cal, were side characters in, like, a straight series, and then got their own show in Dark Blue Kiss. So they were in Kiss and Kiss Me Again, and this is their series. It does do a lot of... It's more of a basic show, like, it's just your basic... They're in love, they're together, It actually kind of is the plot of... You know how I described Tharn Type 2 to you?
Yes.
This is that plot done better.
Okay.
Because it's the same plot. I have never made that connection until this very moment, where it is this couple is together, they've been together, and now this other younger person is coming in and now attempting to break them up. Surprisingly, Non and Fiat are the same person now in my mind. But yeah, it's kind of a more basic show. I really like it. I like Tae and Nu together as a couple, but I kind of got to give it to Not Me. Alright, this is a controversial opinion. So Manner of Death is another very popular BL couple. Actually, this, the one on the right, Theory of Love, is also Off and Gun. So it's the same two main actors that from the last one.
Okay.
In a different, like, they very often put them together. It's actually, it works very well, honestly. But Manner of Death is about, one of them's a medical examiner. The other one is, like, a mobster. They're all trying to solve crime. Unpopular opinion, I thought it was fine. Some people thought it was incredible and the best thing ever. I thought it was fine. Theory of Love, on the other hand, semi-toxic relationship. You ever know the show I keep mentioning that constantly has the guy crying in the shower?
Yeah.
That's that show.
Oh, okay.
But they're all film students, and this show has so many fun film references. You ever seen 10 Things I Hate About You?
Yes.
You know the scene of, what's his name on the stairs?
Yes.
They do that scene in this show. They have so much fun with just, like, movie references in this show to movies that I've seen and that I enjoy. So I think I'm going to give it to Theory of Love. I think it's so fun. A lot of people didn't like it because the guy is kind of a dick. Off's character is kind of really a dick. He kind of, like, takes advantage of his friend. Like, it's kind of thing. But I think they redeem him by the end, and I think the show is so fun. For me, I liked it a lot. Okay, this is cute. This is actually kind of hard. So on the left, we have Light on Me. These are more kids that were just in other things. Like, one of the main kid in this was actually in Mix 9. A bunch of these kids were just in stuff. There was one kid that was in Boys 24. Like, there's just a bunch of people.
So these are just, like, ex-idol
trainees.
Contested things, yeah.
Yeah. Also, the kid that was in Mix 9 was also in Produce Season 2.
Oh, lovely. A lot of overlap with those
He's
things.
gone, he did many things. But in this one, it's about this super, super socially awkward, like, little loner kid who falls into this, like, clique with, like, the class president. He likes class president, but the other guy is kind of a... You know that trope where a guy will pull your pigtails if he likes you? That happens a lot. And I think it's very cute. It's very fun. And then the one on the right is Cutie Pie, which is the one I told you about, which is why is there a gay arranged marriage subplot?
Oh, that's that one.
That's that one. Somehow the gay arranged marriage plot, it was a good show. I liked it. However,
it's also, we did go back and forth a lot on, like, how confusing that was, and if it was, like, you know, like, a good thing that it was it, or
yeah, that it was like, a gay arranged marriage,
yeah,
because
like
that's
that
also
good?
just assuming your children are going, much like how a straight arranged marriage is assuming your children are going to be straight.
Yeah.
A gay arranged marriage assuming your children are going to be gay. Both of them fully into it. But do you go with the more ambitious story that was a little clunkier, or do you go for, like, the calmer story? I'm gonna give it to Cutie Pie. It was ambitious. It was fun. It had a very fun side couple. I liked it a little bit more. It was, like, the plot lines were a little all over the place. Like, I don't necessarily love, like, the weird... We're bankrupt, so your fiance is gonna buy our company, but we can't tell you for some reason.
That stuff
like,
is, like, always
it was
confusing.
complicated, but
Right.
like, I liked it a little bit more. Yeah. Okay, so this is a show that I did not think I was gonna like as much. So the one on the left, I'm just gonna call it by its English name. It's called Favoritism of the Gods, and it is genuinely
It's throwing me off that it's like sideways, the poster.
I know, I hate it. That's the other thing I'm going to complain about. Japanese posters, for some reason, want to be
They want to be not vertical.
Not vertical. And also, I got all these off of my drama list, so they will just make them fit the format, which is fine. But this is genuinely one of my favorite shows I've watched this year. I saw it mainly just because I'd never heard anything about this show, but I saw someone make a TikTok about it.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, that sounds fun. So the main plot of the show is that the main kid, he goes to this shrine every day for 100 days, which I think is like a thing in like Japanese like culture, to like ask for like the strength to like tell his crush that he likes him. And then at the end, the god is like, okay, that's fine. So he tells him, he gets rejected, and then immediately gets run over by a car. And then from there, the god gives him a second chance at life, but due to some sort of random happenstance, he ends up in the body of one of his female classmates. And then the female classmate is in his coma body. Later on in the show, she wakes up from the coma so that they're both just in each other's bodies. But I don't love body swap shows, but this is genuinely maybe my favorite body swap show I've ever seen. Because it's very nice. Both of them have their different reasons for both wanting to stay in this body and wanting to go back to their real bodies. And then he ends up falling in, like, the guy, the crush who rejected him ends up falling in love with him later on, but entirely for, like, but then he's like, I want him to go back in this body? I actually don't. It's not because I like him as a girl, it's because I like him as he was. And then it's another complicated thing. The other thing, genuinely, the god is very, very funny, and the god has this little dog who they have just talk. That dog is hilarious. I love that dog so much. The show is, I think a lot of dramas for me have the problem where the comedy falls fucking flat, and that's probably what the problem here is. Like, but this was actually funny, actually heartwarming. The problem is this show is, like, so difficult to find. Like, it's not on anywhere. Google it, you'll find it, trust me. But I thought it was
that's
so
always
good.
bad. Yeah,
I know. I thought it was so good, though. I liked it a lot. The other one is Don't Say No. Don't Say No is somehow a Tharn type spinoff, and we'll get to the fact that Tharn type is already a spinoff.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I feel like I remember you telling me Tharn type was a spinoff.
It is. This is the spinoff of the spinoff.
Okay.
You know the kid that tried to break up Tharn and type?
Yes.
Hi, please meet his own show where he is both the same character and entirely a different character. When I say I love Fiat, I love this Fiat. I don't love Tharn type Fiat. Somehow those two are different people in my mind. This Fiat's fun. This show I actually really enjoyed. I think Leo and Fiat's relationship is very good. Kind of codependent, but I liked it. The problem is just what you put it up against. Favoritism of the god wins for me.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I have a well-known dislike of Japanese dramas.
You do. I mean, apparently BLs are like the exception
where they
to
put
that.
the money.
Yeah.
It's just where they put all of the money, which is insane. How?
Wild that that's the one genre that J-dramas are like, no, this is where all of the
money,
production
time,
money
effort,
is going. Yes.
Comedy. Is it sexism? Is it because J-dramas don't know how to write female characters?
Honestly, that might be it.
Because honestly, when it's
because female leads in J-dramas are awful.
Are terrible. All right, this is where my entire credibility goes down the toilet. Are you excited for it? All right, so the one on the left is Fish Upon the Sky. Now, do I know still what that phrase means? No, the show didn't explain to me what.
It's kind of fun. It's a fun
means,
phrase.
but I like it.
Nothing, but
I feel like it means something. It might be a translation of something in Thai that I don't understand, but it's fine. But it's about this guy. He is socially awkward. He's also a dentistry student, which I think is adorable. He's also like he's ugly in the way that those, like, 80s movie girls are ugly, where it's just, like, he needs to take off his braces and brush his hair a little bit, and now he's hot. It's great. Also, he took off his glasses. I never understood why people take off their glasses when they do makeovers. Glasses are kind of cool. Like, glasses, maybe it's because I wear glasses, but I don't think having bad eyesight makes you less hot. Generally. But, so, he is trying to fall in love with this. He has this, like, mini rivalry with this other guy. He has a crush on this other guy's friend. So he does this makeover to try to impress him. He ends up falling in love with the other guy he's got a rivalry with. It's very, very cute. I like it. Many people use this show as an example of outdated BL tropes. And I'm like, yes, they are. This is very tropey. But it's done in such a fun, cute way. So I don't care. I like the show a lot. This other show is called I Told Sunset About You. Now, this show is the one I told you about that has the second season that ruins one of the characters. So, in this show, it's a extremely realistic coming-of-age drama about these two kids. They grow up in this, like, tight-lit little fishing town. They are, like, growing up, actually contemplating their sexuality, actually contemplating everything else. The problem then, and then at the end of the show, they grow, change, and develop into better people. That's great. The second season is more messy, which I appreciate more mess, but it absolutely ruins one of the characters because they entirely disregard his growth from the second one, and he becomes a petulant man baby. And trust me, I hate a petulant man baby. I promise you the moon is actually making this a competition. Because I cannot stand Tae's character in that season. He is so unsupportive. And then at the end, they do not show character development. They told us it happened in the time skip. Pacing's also terrible in that show. So now I have the difficulty. What do I do here? I think the first season is very, very good of I Told Sunset About You. Problem is the second season. Yeah. And since I have decided to judge these shows, I've given myself the rules. I will judge these shows based on their entirety. My credibility is now down the toilet because I'm putting Fish Upon the Sky over I Told Sunset About You. Just know, it's not my fault. It's, I promise you, the moon's fault.
Oh, we have to. I guess we're finishing this half of the bracket first.
All right, then we can go through this pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I really liked Game Boys, but I gotta give the full story of We Best Love. I gotta give it to that. Mr. Heart is very cute. But Mr. Heart is also only, like,
I was gonna say, Korean
very
BLs
short.
are short because they're, like, web
dramas.
dramas.
It's about the length of semantic error. It's it's short. So I gotta give it to Not Me, which was a full series.
Full show.
It's a full show. I'm gonna give it to Theory of Love. It's a less messy story. The plot makes more sense to me. This isn't a competition. It's favoritism of the gods. Like, I'm sorry. I can't believe We Best Love made it this far, but I'm gonna give it to Not Me. And then I'm gonna give it to Favoritism of the Gods. Also, the weird thing here is that neither of these two shows, the second half of this bracket is so much better. I've just realized. It has all of my favorite shows.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
That's unfortunate for... I mean,
for either one, it's probably gonna lose the final.
Oh, it is. The decisions on this half of on the other half of the bracket are gonna be so much more difficult.
Inconsequential decisions happening here.
An inconsequential decision, but this is actually extremely difficult to me because honestly, I loved both of these shows. I'm just gonna slightly edge out a show that I didn't expect to be good over a show I kind of expected to be good, so I'm gonna give it to Favoritism of the God. Weirdly. Okay, so, you know this show.
I feel like I know a lot about Kin Porsche, having never seen it. I feel like I know a lot about it.
I watched Kin Porsche as it aired, and I feel like right after I finished an episode, somehow I feel like I had a conversation with Kayla about it.
Yes.
So much happened. I feel like anybody who knows BL dramas knows what kin Porsche is and the plot and its ending and the intricacies of everything. The one thing I will give it, it's phenomenal in every aspect. I loved everything about it. It does kind of need a season 2 because I have so many questions about so many things. Specifically, the Kim Chae stuff and the mother stuff. The stuff with the mom, I have questions. So there better be a second season. And so, you know how I said Tharn Type is a spinoff? Tharn Type is a spinoff of the show on the right, which is Love by Chance. Love by Chance is the most uneven show I've ever seen. Because you have, like, some good couples. Because I like, okay. So you have Pete and A, who are a fine couple. Tin and Can are a couple that they ruin in the second season. Kangla and Techno are one of the worst drama couples I've ever seen because it is genuinely obsession and assault that ends up with them getting together. It's very bad. Also, it's kin Porsche with zero contest. Absolutely zero contest. Okay, this is fun. So, the one on the left is called, Cherry Blossoms After Winter, which is interesting because it's technically a Step Brothers show where one character, his parents die when he's about 8. So he gets adopted into this family with this other guy who's around his same age. They grow up pretty distant. They're not particularly close. The one kid is kind of bullied very often. And then as they grow older, they kind of connect and then get together. It's actually quite a sweet show. It's mainly just about bonding. It's actually based on a webtoon, which apparently is better because usually they are. So that's that show. I liked it. The other one is Together, which is one of the most popular BLs I've ever seen, but also, so you know, Boys Over Flowers Thailand, right? The male lead is the one with the guitar from that show, and then the third male lead is above him.
Okay.
That's the show where those two got famous before Boys Over Flowers.
Now that you said that, yes, the male lead looks very familiar.
He just doesn't have the hair.
Yes, the hair is
perm his hair.
More normal.
Here's the thing with that show. That show is, hey, this is a job. The chemistry is, for me, it wasn't fully there. I thought the show was kind of basic. Everybody loved that show. I thought it was a little basic, so I might give it to, somehow, Cherry Blossoms After Winter's winning this one for me. You know this one!
I do!
It's Semantic Error!
So cute.
We had a full discussion about Semantic Error in a completely different episode.
We did.
That actually isn't advertised because it's the evil PowerPoints about Rainbow Prince and Tinted with You.
Yeah, where Semantic Error just comes in and wins Best Couple because
it's the only good show Kayla and I have ever seen together.
Yes.
I love this show.
It's so cute.
It's it's another Enemies to Lovers college romance, but done in like the best way possible. Also, the biggest and cutest little height difference in the weird thing is height difference, another theme, because it's also a theme in Cherry Blossoms After Winter. It's a theme in this, and it's a theme in various other shows that you're gonna see on this list too. BL dramas love to put a tall guy with a shorter guy. But I loved Semantic Error. The problem is you put it next to Until We Meet Again, which is kind of one of the most emotional shows I've seen. It's another one that I told you starts with a suicide.
Oh, yes.
It's that one.
I'm pretty sure we watched the first episode of that.
We did, and then I was like, this is a good show, you should watch this.
Yes.
And we just never went back to it because I've already seen it.
Yes.
But that show is phenomenal. It's so emotionally done. It has one of the best side couples. That side couple is getting their own show in November, which is exciting. I'm so excited. I gotta give it to Until We Meet Again. Unfortunately for Semantic Error.
Sad for Semantic Error.
Who would have beaten everybody else on this bracket? Who would have beaten so many other in that last bracket? They might have made it to the end if they were on the other side of the bracket.
Yeah.
All right. So on the left we have Lovely Writer. Lovely Writer is about he is a for hire BL writer who one of his stories is getting adapted into a show, and then he meets and falls in love with the main actor. Which is adorable, right? And then on the right is, I'm going to just call it by its name, My Love Mix-Up. I liked this show. This show is it's a love mix-up, alright? So if you want to just follow the square here.
Uh-huh.
So the main character is the guy on the bottom left.
Okay.
Right? He likes this girl. He thinks that this girl likes the guy in the bottom right. But the guy in the bottom right likes the main guy.
Okay.
And then she actually likes the main guy's friend, which is the guy on the top left.
Okay, so it's like a weird square situation.
It is. And then the guy on the right sort of, through happenstance and comedy, the two in the front ends up falling in love. The problem is, and which is why I'm going to give it to Lovely Writer, I kind of find that, so the main guy and the female form this friendship that I kind of find at times when the two of them are left alone irritating. Both of them have crazy side character energy.
Right.
And when you leave them alone, it's too much for me. It's a bit much. I recommend the show. I recommend all of these shows. But I'm going to give it to Lovely Writer. Lovely Writer also has very fun subversions of BL tropes. Because he's a writer,
yeah.
And then he's like, I don't fucking like that I have to write these kind of tropes. These are stupid and they don't make sense. So this is our third mafia romance of the...
Oh, so many mafia romances.
I know, right? So
that's also, I feel like, a common trope in BL, mafia romance.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of our it's one of the things that it's the well we keep returning to. So this is Where Your Eyes Linger. It's actually maybe the first, Viki, because a lot of the Korean BLs here are, Viki BLs, which are on Viki, and they're, these little short ones. That might be the first one. Because both of these kids, I think, are also both of them are produce X kids? No, one of them is a produce X kid again. And so it's about this kid who's, he's the son of, I don't know if it's, the mob or a gang leader or whatever, and then he is his son's bodyguard. And it's very cute. It's very fun, but it's just really short. It's 8-10 minute episodes. It's not even the length of a movie. It's very short.
The Korean BLs are always so short.
They're getting longer. They are actually getting longer, because Light on Me from the other side of the bracket was I think 5 or 6 half-hour episodes.
Yeah.
Which is more.
Right.
But this was extremely short. And then the other show is Why Are You? And this is another show I actually find quite funny. So it's kind of two different couples getting together, one of which is more of an enemies. Both of them are kind of enemies to lovers. One of them are just very enemies to lovers in Tutor and Fighter, and the other one of Zorn and Sai are more they're cute. They're very, very cute. There's no animosity there. Tutor and Fighter, there's a lot of animosity. I'm gonna give it to Why Are You. It has a better soundtrack as well.
Oh, that's always fun.
Kayla, why did you do this to me?
I don't know. This was random.
Kayla, that's Bad Buddy on the left, and that's Tale of 1,000 Stars on the right.
Oh, that's fun.
Only two.
I would have no idea either of those because the titles are not in English.
Fair enough. So the reason I say this is because it's the two BLs I actually own DVDs for.
You do. You do own DVDs of both of those.
Of both of them. So, Bad Buddy, you've also heard me talk about Bad Buddy.
I've heard you talk about both of these a lot.
I know, they're amazing. So, Bad Buddy is a Romeo and Juliet story, essentially, where both of these kids are like rival neighbor families who like then fall in love in college. And then Tale of a Thousand Stars is about a guy who got this girl's heart and ends up in the jungle because that's safe. Look, both of these shows have made me extremely emotional. Both of these shows... Actually, no, I don't think Tale of a Thousand Stars ever made me cry. Bad Buddy made me cry. Bad Buddy, famously, I was crying at the... How many episodes is it? It's 12, so I was crying at the end of the 11th episode. Bawling my eyes out, only for it to be undone immediately in the 12th episode. I was bawling. It was awful. You know, you remember.
I did. I remember this clearly.
I was having a
you were having a time.
And then immediately in the 11th and the 12th episode, I was like, what the fuck?
I know.
What have you done to me? I'm gonna give it to Bad Buddy entirely because I had not been so emotionally invested in the lives of people in so long. I love Tale of a Thousand Stars. That should make it farther in this bracket than it did, unfortunately.
Right.
Alright, so the one on the left might be the funniest show I've ever seen. So that is The Man Who Defies the World of BL, which is
okay, I did watch part of that.
You did watch part of this because I made you watch the first episode just so you could see how ridiculous it is and how fun it is. So that is where it's based on it's based on a manga. So I think it's more derivative of like manga tropes, the way that like Extraordinary You is like more based on webtoon tropes. But it's about this guy who essentially lives in the world of BL manga. And he is like a side character in that, but also just like trying to navigate this world in which I remember very clearly my favorite scene in this whole show so far, which has been like the first season, because there's 2 seasons of this, but they're kind of just continuations of each other. In the first season, he there's like this typical like Yakuza gangster guy, and he just like gets out of his way, and then he runs into like this little like school kid, very shy, and then they the typical like trope thing where like they bump into each other, they turn around, like the guy turns around ready to fight, and then they make eye contact for a solid 30 seconds of like, then there's music playing, there's like animated hearts, and then like you just cut back to our main character like, I hope they're happy because they're now fucking in love, and it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's so fun. I highly recommend this show. It's very short. It is, I think, like 4 half-hour episodes. Somehow they give his little brother like a genuine like BL storyline, but it's still super hilarious and funny. Like, I think this show is so fun. And honestly, this show probably could have been an anime. It probably might have been almost planned as one. There might be one that I just haven't cared to watch. But I think I like that it's live action just because it just makes fun of all of the... I like things that subvert the tropes a lot, and this is hilarious. I love this show. Now, the other one is Sodas. Now, Sodas is this... from 2016. It's a very early, like... Not very early, but like an earlier Thai BL that aired, and that's partially one of the ones that established the engineering trope, because, you know, as I've been able to tell you, engineering is
very big trope as well. Engineering.
If I went through this, I could tell you that like a good maybe at least half a dozen of these characters, and I tended to I don't love engineering shows. I had you get rid of, somehow we ended up with 36 shows by accident when we were making this. Yes. I had you get rid of a bunch of shows that were just like college-based engineering shows. I had you get rid of them, and I still think we have a good half a dozen people here that are engineering majors.
So many
engineering majors. Shows. So much engineering. I don't know why. I think that might just be like it has to be a reference to something in Thai culture
Yeah,
that I don't
assume
understand.
So. Right.
But this is a pretty basic show. It's, you know, when you have a show that more sets the tropes that everyone else follows, that when you go back to it, it kind of feels stale. It's that, which is unfortunate for it, but I'm going to give it to The Man Who Defies the World of BL for being one of the funniest things I've seen. I love that show. Also, if you don't watch that show, just watch it for its opening credits, because those opening credits are hilarious. Oh, it's hilarious. I love that show. So this is the last one. So this is the one on the left is Cherry Magic. I told you about this one, right? The one where it's a Japanese office drama in which a man reaches the age of 30 and then now is able to read the mind of people he touches because he's a 30-year-old virgin.
I remember. Yes, because it was really weird.
Because it's really weird,
Yeah.
but also it also confirms that magic in this world is real because it happens to 2 people.
Yeah.
In the show. So I love the main storyline of this show because it is this, like, little office worker keeps his head down who is like, oh, there's this, like, I don't want to call him a hotshot because that implies that he's kind of a douchebag, but, like, he is senior in this company. People like him. He does a lot of things for the company and he's very good at his job. But he has been in love with this guy. They discover because he can now read his mind. He's been in love with this guy for a while, and it's so cute. I don't necessarily love the side story of the other guy who gets the ability to read minds from being a 30-year-old virgin.
Because of course.
Because of course, that's how that works. And the other one, it actually stars the same couple from Tale of a Thousand Stars. It's the same 2 leads.
Okay.
And it's called Cupid's Last Wish, which is, so, it's kind of a complicated setup. So, the 2 people on the fence, the 2 that are dressed identically, they're brother and sister. And through happenstance, their dad is dead, and they take over the dairy farm. Because of, there's a dairy farm. And through, like, things in the will, the dad left stuff to the other male lead, where our main lead is like, why did you do this? Did you manipulate my father? For some reason, at no point does anyone attempt to defend themselves, which makes me fully on board with our male lead being pissed off. Because no one attempts to speak. Everyone's like, calm down, but no one is like, here is what really happened, and I'm like, why? Just actually explain and don't sit there silently as he rages. I maintain that. And so, happenstance, he one night gets into a car accident with his sister, and they switch bodies.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Of course.
And now they are on a mission to... So, the main guy in his sister's body is on a mission with the other male lead to go to all these temples. It's like a quest of, like, grabbing some things to give it back to a monk so they can switch them back. Because currently, her soul in his body is in a coma, because of course it is. Does it sound familiar with the other show? With Favoritism of the God?
Yeah.
But, so that's fun. The one thing I really liked about this show is that very often they would very expertly cut back and forth between it being the sister's face and the guy whose soul is in the sister's body doing it. It's not that you're seeing the sister the whole time. You are actually seeing him for probably the majority. But they do constantly remind you, hey, it's her body. So I think that that was a fun way to do it. I kind of want to give it to Cupid's Last Wish. It was a good time. I realized that if a body swap is done correctly, it can be fun. Now we have the harder bracket. This is much more
finishing
the
up the harder half of the bracket.
Alright, it's Kin Porsche.
I feel like that was obvious.
Yeah, it's Until We Meet Again.
That is... Which one?
The left. The left.
This one? Okay.
That one, yeah. Lovely Writer is good, but it's very odd that they knew each other. Like, there's parts of that story where I'm like, what happened here? How do you just forget that you knew somebody is a constant thing in
Not
dramas
always,
that I find
like the
hilarious.
childhood amnesia or whatever.
It's not
like,
even childhood amnesia.
it's not
just
amnesia,
that
but
for
it's like
some
selective
reason-
memory. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's
still
like,
not
how
gonna
did
remember.
you forget that you knew him?
Yeah.
Bad Buddy, come on. The tears. I'm gonna go with The Man Who Defies the World of BL. Honestly,
That's
I've learned
fun. I like that. That's fun.
J-dramas, when they're
J-drama
BL, they're
BLs.
better. Now, these two, now this is hard for me. Because, on the one hand, Kin Porsche, I had so much fun with the whole time.
Right.
It was so good, it was amazing. However, the ending is lackluster. I will, not lackluster in that I think it's just, it sets itself up for a sequel, and the fact that I am not confirmed that it will get one yet upsets me. Whereas Until We Meet Again is a fully complete story. It has wonderful flashbacks, it has wonderful acting. I am gonna edge out Kin Porsche a little. Now we're getting into shows that I rated a 10 out of 10.
Right.
All of them are fucking 10 out of 10s. Even, did I give A Man Who Defies the World of BL a 10? I think I might. Yeah, I gave it like a 9.5. Like, these are all fucking amazing shows. I loved all of them. I'm gonna, maybe it's recency bias. I'm gonna edge in. See, I don't know. This is where I just, like, I'm like, you know, splitting hairs here. I'm gonna edge in Kin Porsche just because I think it was a new idea done very well. This is a little bit easier for me. I'm just gonna give it to Bad Buddy just because it's a better overall story. The plot of The Man Who Defies the World of BL is almost non-existent.
Right,
It is there for comedy
it's just
and
like
comedy
comedic,
only.
yeah.
And it is some amazing comedy. I highly recommend it, but this is a little easier, weirdly. Because both of these are two of my, or maybe my two favorite BLs ever. Only with the show I had to leave back in fucking round 1. But I think I'm gonna give it to Bad Buddy entirely because of the ending of Kin Porsche. I think if Kin Porsche gets its season 2, we can revisit. I think you can answer this one.
Yeah.
So now we found our winner. It's Bad Buddy.
I feel like that's not surprising, really.
I feel like it isn't, but I feel like everything around it is surprising.
Yeah.
The fact that it went up against
A
favoritism
J-drama?
of the god.
Yeah, that seems like, that was pretty surprising.
I mean, I love that show, and it's probably my favorite show of the ones on the left side of the bracket.
Right.
The right side of the bracket got a lot more of the heavy hitters.
Uh-huh.
Wherein, like, it was always gonna end up with Bad Buddy versus something else somehow, I feel like. Mainly just because I think Kin Porsche is the closest to it. Kin Porsche and Tale of a Thousand Stars are the closest to it for me personally. Kin Porsche just has to get its season 2 together. And then Tale of a Thousand Stars, the tears. It has the edge with the amount I cried. And when a show is able to get me to bawl my eyes out with the breakup of two fucking, like, 19-year-old college kids, and I sat here crying for, like, a good 20 minutes, I was having a time. I cried so hard. It was a weird time for me. You were there. It was.
I was.
And then you were also there for when I realized
for when
that
it was
a
immediately useless. Yeah.
And I was just like, what? But, like, but also, like, that could have broken a show. To do that and then have it immediately undone. But it made it work because the characters are so good. Honestly, I love them. It's great. It's one of the 2 DVDs I own. Who buys DVDs? Also, these DVDs are not cheap.
They're, like, also, like, hella big, aren't they?
They are. They're
like a whole, like, it's like a whole thing.
Yeah, they're massive.
It's like a collector's edition.
Essentially, it is a collector's edition. They come with fucking photo cards. Then again, I also own a Semantic Error photo essay book.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that
That's
one,
just
too.
because... But that's also just because K-pop hasn't been that interesting and I needed something to fill in order.
Honestly, I did the same thing. I started buying photo books and stuff because I haven't bought any K-pop albums this year, so...
I mean, that's also why we're doing this episode.
Exactly.
Yay!
Yay.
So that is officially Sammy's bracket. If you look at,
Woo-woo.
if you were to put these in some sort of order, that would not be the order I would rank any of these shows. The order of that would be wrong.
We thought we'd switch it up from a tier ranking into a bracket this time.
Oh, absolutely. The bracket would be more boring. This
Yeah.
makes me make difficult decisions. And somehow I ended up with the winner that I thought I was going to end up with.
Right.
But, like, different things.
Because, like, Tale of 1,000 Stars is out in the first round,
I know.
so...
How did you by accident do that to me? See, this is why I had Kayla do it for me, because I could,
Right.
I
You
knew
would have
I was
never
gonna
done
put-
that.
No, I would have never put Bad Buddy versus Tale of 1,000 Stars in a round 1. Are you kidding me? You made me make the most difficult choice, and then all the other choices were easier.
Yeah.
So that's been the bracket fight.
Woo-woo.
If you enjoy this format, tell us.
Tell us, and maybe we'll do some more brackets instead of tier rankings for some
Yes.
things, I guess.
I don't know.
Is
Or
this
tier
gonna be your
rankings?
birthday episode, or is the other one gonna be your birthday episode?
I think this one's my birthday episode.
Hooray.
So
Happy
it's
birthday.
my birthday, yay. I also decided, for obvious reasons, not to include not BLs, like, speaking of birthdays. I mentioned this, but I also have watched a lot of Chinese BLs. Didn't include
Which
them
are
because
not
for the most
really
part,
BLs.
aren't pure BLs.
Yeah.
I needed, like, a pure BL where they
Right.
actually at some point
Like
make
we're
physical
not
contact.
being like vague and shit about it. Like no. We want real BLs here.
We're vague enough in these shows where they're, like, not... They're dating a man, but somehow not gay or bisexual.
Of course.
Of course. God. Anything on here that surprised you? Any shows on here that you're into? What do you think?
I feel like I want to watch Kin Porsche just because I feel like I know a weird amount
You
about
know
it already.
so much about
Yeah.
it already. And yet you haven't seen it.
Yep.
Okay, somehow Kin Porsche is...
That-
I don't
I
think
don't
you're gonna
know.
like Kin Porsche.
I probably wouldn't, but I feel like it would be interesting.
That'll
I'm
be...
kind of interested in the mafia romance trope, so
It's a good trope. I recommend. If I were to recommend any of these shows, I recommend everything that made it to the top 6. All of the ones that made it to, like, the 6 on each side, I recommend. Honestly, everything, more so everything on the right side than the left side.
yeah, just the whole right side of the bracket.
The whole right side has, like, the top tier shows. The left side has, like, the top tier shows and some mid tier shows. Weirdly, Favoritism of the Gods, somehow the most surprising show.
I think that was
To make it that far.
surprising. Yes.
Honestly, my favorite body swap show now. Body swap is a trope I famously hate until I saw 2 shows this year that came out this year. They're both this year shows. Actually, every single show that made it to the top 4 came out this year or late last year. But yeah, I think that body swap can be done correctly. It just rarely is. So that's been the episode.
Hooray.
Hooray. Come back next week and we'll do
More BL. There will
more
be
BL
will be a
games.
second BL episode this month.
Woo!
So, if you enjoyed this, next week will also be fun. But I
Yeah.
won't say what it is now because it'll be a
No,
fun
it's
surprise.
Yeah, it's a fun surprise. Let's just say we're bringing back a game.
We
we've done
are.
before.
We are bringing back a game.
I'm so excited for it.
So that should be fun.
Mhm.
So that has been the Sammi bracket. Does a bracket of BL dramas
With Kayla here as moral support.
with me here for more support and to make the bracket as unbiased as possible.
Exactly.
So we are available on all major podcasting platforms like Apple Podcast and Spotify. We are also on YouTube where we post all of our episodes along with fun clip videos occasionally as well. And with that, we'll see you in the next episode. Bye!
Bye.